Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L, we're going to be showing you how to install the Curt custom fit vehicle wiring harness. Before we do that though, take a minute, check this out and make sure it's going to work for you. So if you're someone who plans on pulling a trailer around with your Grand Cherokee L, you're going to need a way to power up all the lights on it. That way you're not only safe, but legal as well. And that's where a kit like this is going to come into play here. So with this one, it's going to give you that four-way flat type trailer connection here, which is really common for those smaller, medium-sized trailers. And it'll give you your basic lighting functions. You'll get your turn signals, your brake lights, and your tail lights. If the connector on your trailer looks different than the end of this, then chances are pretty good your trailer has a 7-way round type connector like this one here. And if that's your situation, this kit would be a good starting point to kind of build off of. You could have this kit and use an adapter which will convert it to a 7-way style connector like this one here, for example. That way you can plug your trailer into it. But just using an adapter is only going to give you your lighting signals. If your trailer has brakes on it and you're looking to set up a trailer brake controller, you can use this kit and then a etrailer.com universal brake controller install kit to get everything switched over and allow you to get that done. It is pretty nice with how the wiring installs and it dropping down in this area here. It's going to be easy to get to when you are hooked up to a trailer, but then when you're not using it, it's still going to be out of the way and let you take your removable panel, put it back in position, and not only does that help keep everything looking good, but it keeps the weather off of that connector as well, so it should stay in better shape. There are a couple other kits available for the Grand Cherokee L. One of them is going to be a universal type kit, and the other one will be a custom fit like our Curt here. And so if I had to give you a piece of advice, it'd be to use one of the custom fit kits. It just makes more sense. The fact that they're specifically designed for this vehicle, everything goes together much smoother. You don't have to splice into a bunch of wires and things like that. Speaking of the installation though, this one really isn't too bad. I definitely would suggest, if you're installing the hitch at the same time, to do the wiring while the fascia's apart and everything. You just have a lot more room to work. Everything's easier to see and get to. So that's exactly what we did. With that said though, this can be done at a later date. If you already got the hitch, maybe later on now you need wiring, you can install this with everything put together just a little tighter, right? Might take you a little more time. And if you're someone who might not have the time or place to install this yourself, you can always feel free to check out our dealer locator, and hopefully that can help you find a shop that can do it for you. But with that in mind, why don't we go ahead, we'll pull into the garage and get going on it now. To begin our install, we're going to be here at the back of our Jeep, and if you're doing your wiring like we are at the same time you're doing your hitch, chances are pretty good your tail lights will be removed already. If not, you'll have to pull them out. And so the way that you would do that, you have this plastic cover here, and there's a little push pin fastener there. And on these Jeeps, I just like to go behind them, kind of pry up on it to release it. And this piece will unsnap. Set that to the side, and we have a T30 Torx bit screw there. Pull that out. Then to get the tail light out, you want to pull it kind of back and towards the outside. And that'll release those little alignment pins. And then we'll disconnect it. Just push back on that red tab, down on the middle. That'll release. We'll set our light off to the side and do the same thing to get the other one removed. We'll grab our new trailer wiring now, and starting on the passenger side, you can take the yellow T-connector wire in your 4-way flat, and you just want to drop it down through the opening in the taillight pocket. And all this is going to hold true for those of you that have your fascia on. You'll just have to go underneath and kind of reach up behind the bumper to get access to all this stuff. But get it to about here. Take our white ground wire, and I'm going to drop that down and probably ground it down here somewhere. If your fascia's on, still you can ground it somewhere where you can get access up here. That's fine too. Do that, and then the green T-connector wire, one end of it is going to line up with our factory taillight plug, so we'll get that plugged in like so. We can secure our converter box. I just used the provided two-sided sticky tape, applied it to the back of the box. You want to make sure that the surface is clean and dry. You can use some rubbing alcohol, wipe it down. And then I also cleaned this area here, because that's where we're going to secure this. You just want to make sure it's down far enough that it's not going to interfere with our tail light once that goes back in. To get our white wire grounded, you need to attach this to a clean piece of sheet metal. I'm just going to go right here. I'm going to use the provided self-tapping screw to secure it. Started to route some of our wires, so you'll have your single yellow wire and then your four-way flat wiring. Those come along through here. The four-way flat wire I just have zip tied up along this way where it drops down, and I just use the dust cover to secure it to our hitch. When you're routing wiring, you want to make sure and do your best to avoid any hot or moving parts. The yellow wire, all right, that actually goes on top here, where I kind of just tucked it in behind here. And for those of you with the fascia on, similar concept. A lot of times you'll just route it on top of your hitch or something like that. But it comes over where I have it going up into the taillight pocket. I got the yellow T-connector wire, one end of it plugged into our factory taillight wiring, just like we did the other side. And with our fascia off, it's real easy to push that up into place, right? If your fascia's on, definitely don't have as much room to work. And if you're having a hard time getting the connector in place, something you can do is use a pull wire. It's just a piece of tubing. You can use a metal coat hanger, straighten it out, something like that. But what you could do is drop it down through the opening, keep feeding it down, and then eventually you can reach up under the bumper or under the fascia, grab this, tape your T-connector to your pull wire, and pull it into position that way. Now we can move up front into the engine compartment over here on the passenger side, and you can grab the big bundle of black power wire that they give you, and you're going to want to strip one end of it back, give the wire a twist, and this is how we're going to make our connections, whether it be a ring terminal or a butt connector. Take the butt connector, put it over the bare end of the wire, and crimp it down. Then you can take the included fuse holder, make sure the fuse is not in it. One end I crimped on the included ring terminal. The other end get plugged into our butt connector there. And get that crimped. And I actually upgraded to a heat shrink style butt connector because the ends will seal up and help protect against corrosion and stuff a little bit better. But the ones that come with the kit will work just fine. Work the same way, just instead of sealing up the ends, make sure you tape it up good. But with the heat shrinks, we'll come back with our heat source and seal them up. Can remove our fuse block cover now. We'll pull that off. And the ring terminal is going to have to get connected to power. So we'll just use this post here. I have a 13mm socket. What I like to do when I loosen the nut is just keep pressure down on this wire. That way it don't lose connection. I have to reset our radio and stuff like that. I'll pull that off. Put the ring terminal over it. Go ahead and just get it tightened back down here. I reinstalled the cover here, and again, make sure the fuse is not in. We'll do that at the very end once everything's hooked up. Taped up our butt connector for a little extra protection, and we can start to route this towards the back. So I just have it going along through here where it pushes in to this little opening here. In that little pocket here where we put our wiring, that's how you can get it down to the underside of our Jeep. In our case, there's a grommet that we utilize, just pushing our wiring through it to the bottom side of our vehicle. Underneath of our Jeep, this is where our wiring dropped down, and you might have to loosen up an underbody panel if you have one under here. There's usually just a handful of 10mm head bolts you can pull out to do that, but our power wire is going to run along through here. Just zip tying it up, and as we go, just following that factory wiring all the way up along through here. And then right here, what I did is I used a pull wire, kind of how I showed you earlier. I just pushed it through our subframe, and you can see the wire goes through it, and I put a little piece of protector on there, some wire loom, so it's not hitting up against that metal. So the power wire is actually inside of our subframe here, and I like doing it this way because there's just so many moving parts right through here. It'll keep it protected, and this is where our wire is going to drop out. Here's where our wiring is going to come up. All right, I just got it looping up like that, around through here, and then I connected it using a butt connector, just like we did under the hood, to the black wire coming out of our converter box. At this point, you can go ahead, get the fascia reinstalled and everything. That way we can get our taillights put back in place. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and we can pick up from there. I was able to get our fascia just snap back into position, and before I get carried away re-securing it completely, I want to test the wiring. I really just want to get the fascia on, that way I could plug in the connectors underneath of it to kind of reconnect everything before we powered our Jeep on. So with that said, we'll go ahead, take our taillights, those will plug in. And we'll reinstall these, and we'll have one more thing that we need to do real quick. We'll come back under the hood real quick, take the fuse, and we want to make sure to plug that into the holder. That way our system will have power. To test the wiring, I like to use this small tester as opposed to just hooking up to our trailer. And I say that because if your trailer happens to have any issues, it might mislead us. And I'm thinking it's something we did on the Jeep side. But with that in mind, we'll try our left turn. Our right turn. We'll turn on our taillights and hit our brakes. Since we verified everything is working properly, I went ahead and got everything put back together, opposite way that we removed it. And with that done, that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Curt custom fit vehicle wiring harness on our 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L.